All right, welcome everybody. I took off my coat. It's freezing cold. I can't believe how chilly it is. Oh, gracious. We've been trying to go on walks and it's like freeze your face off cold. All right, I'm really excited because I have a topic to talk about today. But really quick, I wanted to go over a few things while we're waiting for everyone to jump in. If you don't see some people on that normally are on, can you message them privately? Like, hey, we're starting. That would be helpful. Okay, so we are middle of the month. Let's see. It is the 20th. So we basically have 11 days left in the month. That's crazy. This is the time of the month when everything starts to happen though. But I will say mid-month is when everyone starts doubting their goals. And so I think that's key and a cue for us to go remind people on our team, anybody that even if it's their health goals, like chime in, tap in with your customers, find out how they're doing. Check on your people that were sharing last month. Newsflash, it's usually a turnover month over month who is sharing any given month, like for new sharers specifically. And so if you have people that you worked with last month and they're kind of quiet this month, totally normal, but we can still always, the ball's always in our court to, tap back in and check with them and see where they're at. But all that to say, how are we doing? How are the goals coming along? I think there's two different camps. There's those of us who are, flying by the seat of our pants, a little bit more spontaneous, sporadic, and we set goals at the beginning of January. And now it's like, oh yeah, what were my goals again? And so then you like rustle through your papers. I actually have all these coaching call notes. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to check in with everyone, see how we're doing. So you might be more of the spontaneous type that's like, oh yeah, wait, goals? What are my goals? And then there's some of you that are like nose to the grindstone. You're like working head down, doing all the things. But then you also need to be reminded of like, what are your goals? So I'm going to be that voice saying, what are your goals? It's a good time, middle of the month, to revisit what they are. So hopefully you guys all took the white paper challenge or whatever your version of that is to revisit wherever your paper is. Like find that and just glance back through it. Just remind yourself, oh yeah, what am I working towards again? So permission to do that. You can pop them in the chat if you want, if that helps to kind of write them or type it out. So how are we doing? Where are we at with goals? A couple of quick reminders. So we're working as a team to be in the top 5 for that retreat, earning that retreat in Scottsdale. So quick reminder, the way we earn that is through development. And I mean, on one hand, I'm glad it's not just based on recruitment. Okay. But on the other hand, we've got to be really laser focused on who are we helping to go silver or senior silver. That is like literally the question of the month because, and it needs to be the question of every month because it's usually different people that we're working with, right? And so if you don't know who you're working with yet, make a little list. As I'm talking, like totally fine to be taking your own white paper and writing names down. If you haven't gone back through your level 1 list and even tapped, I was mentioning this to Katie earlier today, tap into your 2s and your 3s and just find out a red dot. Like if all of them reply back, which I got a lot of these earlier in the month, no, I'm fine. I just want to stay a customer. I'm not interested in sharing. Totally fine. Like I felt like I kind of got like rejected by a bunch of my customers, but it's okay because I have a red dot of where they're at. And it's okay. It's a-okay if those people want to stay in the customer bucket, but it gives us clarity because I call it digging for gold in your backyard type of thing, because within your team in any given moment, people can change their mind like that. And they can tap back in and start products. They can tap back in and start to work the business again. And it's in their back pocket. For those of us who have been around a hot minute, probably have a suitcase full of retired sharing ambassadors. Drop a 1 in the chat if that is you. I think all of us do. But you can always swing back. And one way I pray specifically, from time to time, not all the time, but from time to time, I'll just be like, Lord, if there's anyone that's supposed to come back, like help them make themselves known. Right. And so that doesn't absolve myself of, messaging and just checking back to see. But also I think sometimes we forget about certain people and it's, we message back through people and we're like, well, guess not. And then someone that we didn't even think of maybe that's in the archive of zero PV people are like, hey, I'm ready to restart and I want to work the business, right? So just a quick reminder there is anything can happen. This is the top of the year, 2026. We're going to be doing things bigger, better, bolder this year. And so anyways, just wanted to mention that. So development, who are we working on? Who are we helping with? Who are we helping to go silver and or senior silver? So if you don't have like a list of those people, go in your back office and search for people that from last month that ended at 6 points or 12 points, maybe have never gone silver. Or that have gone silver and fallen back, but they could potentially go senior silver, right? So kind of dredge up all those potential peeps because that expands who you could be potentially working with, and you're not just beholden to only new people, which some of you have already done all that work, and if you did, fantastic, move along, find new people. But if you haven't, it's always worth a check back, okay. Don't forget, you're getting development bonuses and they're doubled this month. So all of us are above the gold rank. And so that is a huge little boost to work extra hard on developing people and finding out the who. You may end up developing people on your team that are your level 2s and your levels 3s or 4s. Like those, I believe, yeah, those development bonuses go through level 4. So yay for that. Okay. Also, if you have people that are sharing, can we all, and this is, I'm preaching myself here too, because this is a little hit list for me, but tune in or encourage your sharers. Maybe they're already in the Gold Accountability chat, but they're not doing a whole lot. Tap back in with them and see if they're willing to start to chime in on the posts. Like even if we can just get more people consistently posting, it's going to spread the reach. It's going to spread the net, right? And so sometimes I think people hide in the chats and they don't think anyone notices. But I think if we can all go back and find our people and be like, hey, we're doing this as a group, it'll be really fun. Like, do you want to commit to, getting back into posting? Or if they're already posting, you could be like, hey, is there anything about, what your goals are where you feel like you need to, increase your frequency of posting, or maybe we need to splice in some other types of posts, So anyways, be working with your peeps on that. And then, oh yeah, we already talked about how you probably would be working with different people this month than last month, but and some of the same as well. But if you have some people that worked last month and they're kind of quiet, it's interesting how people kind of blitz in, blitz out. But I do think we have the one responsibility and two, the influence to go back and influence them. I was mentioning this to someone the other day. We get paid in proportion to the amount of people we inspire, right? So I feel like we're professional inspirers, we're professional encouragers, we're professional friend makers, right? So I think we just have to keep that reminder in that front and center. Okay, your December and January people get promo codes, 3 promo codes a piece for $10 off. And all of us that registered for Super Saturday also got $10 off. So repeat. So if you've mentioned that to your new customers from December and January, go back and remind them. And then just say, who do you know? Right? You don't have to invite them to work the business with you. Like it could be a different ask. It could be a more gentle, organic ask. Now, if it's someone that you totally see potential in for working the business, 100% ask them and be bold to do the business with you. But some people, for some product users, a lot of product users are probably not going to be moved by that question, but they might be a little more prone to share with their friend that struggles with autoimmune or, so anyways, just a reminder to keep asking and reminding about the promo codes. Okay. Anyone want to unmute and kind of share what they're working on, how they're doing, who they have working on silver? I don't want to talk the whole time. I do have other topics I want to talk about, but we'll just pause right there real quick. If someone wants to unmute, say something that's on their heart right now.
I reached out to a gal whose son turned 18, and he is in the fitness world, right? So he's graduating, probably doesn't want to go to school. School was not his friend. And so needs to have a job, of course, but then so I just asked, hey, would he consider something like this? It's like, hey,
Hmm.
we have creatine out now. And he's like, yeah, and she said, yeah, he noticed that, that there was creatine out now. And so anyway, that's an open door, and she doesn't know how go gutter he could be on the topic. But I mean, it was a seed planted, so we'll see.
Hmm. Sometimes I've had conversations with moms that have young adult children, and I'm
Yeah,
like, if they would do it to work it with their kids and help them, like to me, I
right,
could totally see that happening where maybe the kids aren't as invested, but if mom it gets
was
invested,
a little bit, yeah,
like that makes so much
right.
sense. Yeah.
Well, and here pretty soon you're going to start seeing all the posts about graduations, and we'll figure out who all has senior moms, and then, find out what's Sally doing, when she graduates, just kind of, it's a conversation starter that I
Hmm.
plan to make time for.
I'll
Yes.
say, and like Megan has kids, obviously my age or my age kids too, but I feel like a lot of this generation of those kids are not wanting traditional 9 to 5 jobs. They can see that they're wanting, it's getting past like for example, Kellen and Josiah, like they love Plexus and they're thrilled about the creatine. It's more about like it's going to take them time to build a network is the
Hmm.
struggle, I think. And then like their friends don't have the money to nor necessarily see why they would need supplements because they're 17 years old, 18 years old, and they don't feel bad or they don't, they're invincible. So, getting them to see, I don't know. They see what it could be, and I think there's a lot of kids that age that you just have to kind of keep showing them to see what it could be like. Because I keep telling the boys, I'm like, well, what could this be in 10 years when you are 28 years old?
Right.
Look at what the 10-year-old diamonds like they're there now, like what could it be in
Hmm.
10 years? So it's more about like getting over the hump of like the networking, I think, for them. And then just like we have to find leaders, they have to find leaders too. But that age bracket is hard too because they definitely don't want, a lot of them do not want a traditional 9 to 5.
Hmm. And that could
Comment in
work in
there
their
too.
favor.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Megan.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I was
go.
just saying that about my daughter, who's a junior in high school, and she's my one that would go to college if someone like she's very book
Hmm.
disciplined, all the things. And the other day she came in, she's like, "Do you like what you do?" I was like, "Yeah, it like gives me flexibility." I was like, "I know I'm cranky sometimes because I'm like I was just scatterbrained everywhere." I was like, "But yeah, it's like I love the trips, I love the people." And she's like, "I just don't feel like I want a 9 to 5. Like, I don't want to come home and be miserable." And I was like, there are so many opportunities right now. Like, I feel like entrepreneurship is like the thing. There's so many options. And then she gets into this dual credit class in the sociology class. The first question is, tell me your pronouns. And she's like, mom. Like, I was like, I mean, this is how they get you. Like, this is what happens. And so she's like, she sees that and I mean, she didn't want to, she doesn't, she's waning now. Like, what do I do? I was like, there's so many options. Like, this could just fund what you want to do, you know?
Hmm.
So I'm with
Yeah,
y'all.
100%. Well, and there's, I mean, who was it? The Bannister guy? I'm forgetting his name, but he broke the was it the 400-meter dash or whatever, like, or maybe it was maybe it was the mile, broke the time. And so I feel like there's going to be younger and younger examples of people that do it and do it younger than some of the youngest diamonds. But it does take vision casting. And Brooke, I love that you're vision casting for the guys in that way, because you know things change. I mean, college isn't the be all end all anymore like it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And so I think there's just a ton of options, and I think this is very workable and doable alongside whatever else they choose to do if they're willing to talk about it. So yeah, 100%. Yeah, so good. I was gonna have everybody do a post audit real quick. You guys all do one? I know we're doing the poll, but I thought, well, let's see how we're doing. Go back to the 13th of January real quick, and let's do a quick post audit. I do think it's a good practice. I think on the proactive side of things too, find your favorite people or inspiring people to follow and match their boldness and intensity with posting. I do think I mentioned this to Melody earlier, to go check out Maddie Vaughn. She's Kinley's newest jewel. And is Melody on still? She said, where are you, Melody? No, she's not. Oh, yeah. And Melody was like, oh, wow, she's bold. Like that was the one thing she mentioned, like she's really bold in how she's posting and how she's showing up. But it's interesting. Sometimes when you see someone else do it, then you can feel like more empowered to be like, okay, I'm going to go make my bold post, in your own language. Don't try to copy somebody else necessarily, but I do get inspiration from other people. So don't just rely only and always on your own inspo or ideas, Okay, so we're going back to January 13th. Oh, also with these with the post audit, I forget to do this, but go back into your posts from like a week or two ago and snag names. Because sometimes I forget to look at who commented or who liked. And a lot of times before, not all the time, but sometimes before people they start to follow what you're doing. They're just like likes here and there. Same within your stories. So Angie had a really good verbiage this morning. I used a similar verbiage and sent a bunch of people messages from my stories, but that's also a good habit to practice. If you feel like, who do I message? You can just start there. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone want to chime in real quick? Let's see. So business, life, product. You can give yourself extra credit for like a live or a reel, and then call to comment. There's a little more categories. I love all of the posts you guys tagged me in. If you guys haven't posted your business blurb that you sent, I was challenging all of us to go post it on our wall with the picture, not the graphic, not the black and white graphic, but just like the verbiage with the picture. I think it's bolder and easier to read. Make it into a wall post, and when you do, tag your sponsors, and then you guys all saw the story slide. So yay that we got all those done. That's so fun. Right. Yeah, Laura says Bill signed a new guy this week that started liking everything a month ago. 1,000%. Pay attention. Usually means they're going to be a new customer soon. Brandy says 4 personal, 2 value, 3 product, 2 business. Look at that. Amber did 10 business, 4 product, 6 reels, and call to comments mixed in. All right, fantastic.
That's not accurate.
Oh, it's not.
It looked like it says 10 business, but it's 10 personal. I wish I did 10 business.
Oh,
high
I was going to say, woo!
Right?
You know what's funny about doing this? Is I feel like I've done so many business posts, but I only have done 3 in the last week. I've done 7 life and 7 product, and including a reel, and I just did a live and a couple call to comments. But isn't that interesting? Because I've done a ton in my stories, ton of business stuff in my stories, not on my Facebook wall. So, anyways, okay. I always think it's a good practice to do. Okay, your own awarenesses. Are you guys having your own awarenesses? Lisa, you might win again for the amount of social media posts. I think there's a correlation for between sponsor. You can tell me if I'm wrong, guys, but sponsored, sponsoring people and amounts of posts. I don't know. It seems like Lisa and Angie, I don't know who else, probably some of you as well, but a lot of posts equal more people signing up. So anyways, keep going, keep working on it. Keep working on the consistency of that. And then anyone on your teams that you're able to like inspire to do more of. And this has been a little bit of my bane, a little bit is like, it's the marriage of posting and messaging. And I'm so consistent about posting. I feel like I show up every day pretty much and post, but messaging pretty much hasn't been real consistent. It's pretty sporadic. And even with my best decision to have prospecting hours carved into my week, there's been stuff come up that has taken priority. I'll just say it, taken priority over that piece. And it's frustrating me, but I'm changing that. And I do think it's both and, because there's a season and a time when I could just post, I could up my posting and I would have more people coming to me, which we can all still try that still. But I do think that the messaging piece is also a piece. So I liked what I was chatting with Kinley and Maddie a couple days ago. I think I forwarded their little messages to most of you, but Kinley said, yeah, if it starts to get slow, we start messaging. So I thought that was kind of cool. They do a lot of posting, but she's like, yeah, when it gets slow, we just start messaging people. She goes, Maddie will message me and be like, all right, slow. I'm messaging 15 people about the business. Boom, go. Or she'll message and be like, oh, I did it. So I just thought that was like so simple and very adoptable. So if you feel like it's slow, get to messaging. So I appreciated that little tidbit. Yes, test the correlation for sure. And it is interesting when you start to post more, sometimes it can be like uncomfortable. So interesting how sometimes those new posting feelings pop back up like, but I think we just have to remember different people are seeing different things at different times. It's not all the same people. Oh, Melody said that was her December. Recruited more and I'd also posted more. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, test that out, you guys. It's a theory. It's not necessarily factual, but it's something that I've noticed. So let's test it out. I mean, you can snag some rally chat posts to throw in there too, like in the mix of, all the other posts that you're creating. There's been some good rally chat stuff too, by the way. So don't forget to utilize that if you aren't currently. Wendy, you should do product testimony from yourself again. I feel like it's repeat, and like snag a new picture, post. I liked the little prompt from the rally chat yesterday. It was just giving a prompt. What was it? Before Plexus, I struggled with ... It was something like that, kind of like a little prompt. Which you're the writing teacher, like you know what I mean? Like you'll pull people into your story. Yeah, keep telling your own story. 1,000%. Yes. Yeah. Yep. I popped on live. I did a live because I was like, oh man, what am I going to post about? But then I was looking at the posting poll and I was like, I'm going to do a live and it's going to be messy and imperfect. So I ran to my bathroom to get ProBio 5 so it would at least have something to show. And I told Ben's story. I had posted about it in my stories earlier, but like that's literally why I started sharing Plexus, was because of the eczema story with Benjamin. My literal thought was, all the moms need to know. Like, at least if it could help some moms not struggle with eczema with their kids, that'll be a win. So it's funny how that evolves over time, right? Okay, letting Mary Shire's in. Sweet. Okay. All right, a couple of quotes I wanted to quote. I saved my notes from one of our calls from the last quarter, but a couple of the things that I just feel like these calls are so valuable. I hope you guys are gleaning good things from them. I just feel like it's helpful to meet together. I know a lot of teams, like, they don't really meet up a whole lot, which to each their own, but I just think it's sweet to have collaborative time, especially with like leaders, like with this group of you guys, and we chat through things. But we had a lot of good things shared at the end of 2025, and I jotted a few things down. So these were quotes from some of our calls. Do the next right thing. Work works. That was Alita. Melody shared this. I think this was a Craig Rochelle quote. Quit whining. You're smart. Fix it. I think that was from convention. Quit whining. You're smart. Fix it. We had talked a lot about victorious thoughts. I know some of you did Jessica Heffley's book study on that, just because everything flows from our thoughts, right? Biblical concept there. When we think differently, we act different. Do what you're avoiding. You won't die if you implement, and then post audits. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and lay this to rest, but I thought those are such good little tidbits, just good reminders. Alrighty. Oh, good. All right. Anything coming up? I don't want to steal anyone's thunder if you're having a revelation. You can interrupt at any time or unmute. Okay.
Can I share a quote real quick that I wrote down? I actually think it was from 2026. This might not be from last year, but it was Melody that said it. And this may not be a direct quote because I always just like write things down quickly, but it said, there's always beautiful progress when we take ownership of our actions. And it was talking about whenever we can kind of just like coast versus taking off. Anyway, I loved that. I actually shared that at our retreat. I wrote it down to share with them, but there's always beautiful progress when we take ownership for our actions. I just told my daughter that yesterday.
Love that. Beautiful progress. Those are beautiful words, actually. And I think that's the thing is, like, a lot of times I expect perfection. I realized this recently. I expect perfection, and then I'm like frustrated and kind of like about things not being perfect. And the reality is it's not ever going to be perfect. It's all a continuum of learning, grow. It doesn't matter if it's marriage, parenting, homeschooling, work, career, like Plexus. There's always going to be more to improve upon, which makes life fun and interesting. Okay, alrighty. Well, I was on a call. I don't know if some of you caught it or caught the recording. Brooke Hemingway had put it out there as a free tool to tap into. This was last week sometime. It was really, really good. And I actually didn't anticipate sharing this, but then I was going back through my notes when I had kind of sat down an hour and a half ago or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is good. This is good stuff. I should regurgitate for myself. And this, I think it could be really beneficial for all of us to hear too. So question, this was a question I was asking myself, how can we get better in 2026? And this was reminding me of a few things that Alex said at the beginning of Super Saturday. He said, your presence says something about your 2026, I think referring to people that showed up for Super Saturday. Life favors the bold. I feel like bold and belief is a reoccurring theme. Community builds belief. And he said, build belief this year. And he said, today is the best time to build a Plexus business. And he said, some teams will grow 10 times this year because of belief. And then that Columbus is going to be the convention of the decade. I thought that was fun. And he said, people need hope and community now more than ever. And that actually ties into what we went to a seminar Thursday night in Mattoon. It was Dave Ramsey's daughter, Rachel. And then also this, what's the other guy's name? John Deloney. I don't know if you guys see. I see his stuff pop up sometimes, like little clips. And I was like super confused at the connect. Well, that wasn't even really the connection, but it was like such a diverse, like she's the finance girl. And then here's this guy that's like a doctor of psychology. And it's like, this is going to be interesting. But his talk was about loneliness and that a lot of people in America are lacking connectivity. And he said, we've become very transactional as a culture. Anyways, I won't bore you with all the stuff that he shared, but I think that's interesting. And it correlates with what we're doing in Plexus, like creating community and being friend makers. And he was just encouraging people, like, have hospitality. Like, so what that half your casserole is gone, tell your neighbors to come over and just hang out. So I think it was just encouraging and fun to hear just his encouragements to, like, say yes more this year instead of saying no all the time. Meet more people, go do more things.
He has
Anyways.
a couple of really good books on anxiety. Like if
Oh.
anybody, one of them's called Redefining Anxiety, but he's very like I wouldn't say just naturally approached to about it, but he's like very honest and real about it because he came from that and he just talks about how so anyway, if you have people in your life that have he's really good at communicating like anxiety and those like disorders. But yeah, he's on the Dave Ramsey show every day. So anyway.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize there was a connection there. That makes more sense. And like it sounds like they help with when people call in, if there's like domestic type stuff, like they'll make sure people are getting helped, which is neat. And Justin said that he does have one of his books, and he was a super engaging guy to listen to. Like my boys especially loved listening to him because yeah, he's very engaging and like real. And it was really fun because they had a Q&A time at the end. So it was really neat to hear, both of them kind of just shoot from the hip with people that came up to the mic to share. Anyways. Okay. Alex said, I can either sulk or work. That's kind of out of left field. But anyways, I liked that because I think we always have the choice. We always have the choice with our attitude. So good things there. Okay. And this kind of goes back to the community building thing, but community is a reflection of you. So, and each of us are building communities or teams, right? Community is another name for team, but question, who are you serving this year? I would love for you guys to write this down because I do think this will help you hone your social media and it'll help me hone my social media if we know who we're working to serve. And I was talking to someone earlier today and she's like, I'm afraid if I'm that bold. I was talking to someone else about, and I just mentioned like, hey, remember that Maddie girl? Go check out her posts. Like I don't follow her super closely, but I'm like, go check out her posts. I've seen a few of them recently and she's like, yeah, they're super bold. This girl I was talking to, and she's like, she goes, I get worried about being that bold. She goes, I know I can't be, but I get worried. And I said, well, that's the interesting thing. It's like, who are you trying to attract? Because if you're thinking about, the 5 or 10 people that are like the super skeptics and the haters, and you post to please them, like you're going to be posting to nobody. I didn't say all this to her, but I was just, I'm kind of just embellishing on that whole concept because I'm like, I feel it because I live in a fishbowl. I see who sees my stories, like family members and people I go to church with, like so interesting. But also you never know how you're inspiring them in other ways, even if they would never join us for the business or even the products. But I think the reality is Maddie is bold and she's showing up to attract leaders. And so anyways, I wanted to put that out there as like a question to pose to you guys, kind of chew on, ruminate as you're showing up on social media. And we're kind of working on our consistency, but then also not even just the showing up, but how are we showing up, right? There's the check it off the list to get it done. And then there's the big, bold, fun, sparkly version of you showing up with big belief to attract XYZ, whoever that person is. Okay, so I just view this as like, let's call us all up higher, like to do better this year. And so the concept that was taught on this call last week was scaling your business. So I'm like, okay, what does scaling mean exactly? And so they were talking about scaling versus just growing, which is interesting. But to scale something basically means to increase profitability. I was using Google also to just look up definitions. But it means to increase revenue much faster by optimizing systems, technology, hiring top talent, allowing the leader or the owner to focus on vision and growth versus just daily operations. So putting this into network marketing terms and like what we do, to me, this speaks to, well, so this, to me, this speaks to, okay, systems. Yes, we know that. Technology. So maybe it's utilizing social media. Maybe it's utilizing texting system or texting things like Project Broadcast, or, there's other platforms also. Hiring top talent. To me, that speaks to who are we recruiting onto our team, right? Top talent. We want to plant new gold or emerald leader legs, future emerald leader legs. That way, doing those types of things is going to free us up to do more like big picture, like step back and see the bigger vision, maybe lead from a different vantage point, right? But we cannot be replaced or delegated, right? We're the hub. We're the hub, but I want to call us up higher because you're not going to stay where you're at. You're going to continue to grow. If you don't quit, you're going to continue to grow. And we want to be thinking like, okay, when I'm emerald, when I'm sapphire, when I'm diamond, what you're doing now, it's going to look different when you hit those other ranks, meaning you're not going to be doing everything, probably most likely, that you're doing now, right? And also what we did a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like it looks very different. Not everything. There's still a lot of things that I do that are similar, but I just want to kind of give us some ideas so that we can get better in 2026. And so my question is, where are some areas you can get better at? The first thing I wrote down was systems. So what systems can you be utilizing to free up more of your time? And it might be just the simplicity of being more systematic in your business. I feel like I've chatted about this for a little while now, but it can be even the simplicity of like making sure that the most important things in your business, or the things that you like rinse, wash, repeat, send, and say, are like pinned in the notes in your phone. So you're not having to go scramble for like the first post message or wording, or like if you have a new share and then you're challenging them to go, message 5 of their closest friends. You don't want to have to like be hunting for that and like searching by keyword in certain chats or whatever. So pin those in the top. Like systems, to me, it doesn't have to be this big vague word. It can just be like being more systematic in your business. Maybe it's that you don't really have a customer care system, or that you have one, but you're not sure if your sharers do, right? There are a couple pinned on Momentum Makers. There's like the OG Emily Gibson one. There's another one that Joanna uses. I think it's a little more complex. It's not as simple. I like Emily's because it's really simple. But anyways, so systems, so thinking through those. Time management. I feel like this will ever and always be a thing for us as moms and just women in general. Like we're wearing a lot of hats. We juggle a lot of things. And so figuring out where our time is going. Delegating. Okay, I'm revisiting these things also in my life and my business, where my time is going. Who can do so? And this is the thing: who can do it in 2 minutes, where it maybe takes you 20 minutes, or it takes you 2 hours because you're not very techie, right? Is there anything that you can be delegating out? And this doesn't just mean that I'm preaching everyone needs to go hire people. I'm not necessarily saying that. Now, at some point, yeah, you probably will. But how can you delegate maybe in your home, or pull in whoever is needed, right, to free you up? So however this fits for your situation right now, and be strict about the delegating. I know for me personally, life is always going ebbing and flowing, and there's just different adjustments, but like we stopped hiring outside people for help. And we hired our kids, but then sports started. And so I found myself doing a lot more laundry, a lot more, household things, because of sports. And then I'm like, wait, that never ever really switched back after the end of October. So I'm like, I'm doing a heck of a lot of laundry, or a heck of a lot of this or that around the house. If I'm truly delegating, if we're supposed to be delegating, then I tend to be a control freak in light of things. Surprise, surprise also. And so I had a little meeting with Benjamin and Maddie. I'm like, hey, so here's the deal. I'm going to stop doing this. So like if the kitchen is yours, like that is, you are kitchen patrol and it needs to be done well. I don't survive life if the kitchen is disaster zone constantly, right? So however that applies to your situation, but I think like we've come off the holidays, right? So I was doing a lot more of everything, and now it's like back into mode. And then I was really feeling really frustrated the last 2 weeks, which there's been a lot. Like I've done a ton of coaching calls. My sister-in-law had a baby. You know, there's just different things where I have wanted to maybe serve or provide some things for people that are in our circle because of, you know, because I want to. But it did make me realize like, wow, I need to be aware of where my time is going, and like I need to have enough plexus time carved out so that I'm not rolling around feeling frustrated. Because like I want to love homeschooling, I want to love homemaking, I want to love plexus, but if things are out of balance, I will not love them. And everything was going to feel frustrating even if it's one section that's out of balance but not getting done, right? So plug this into your scenario however needed. I'm just sharing what's been going on over here, figuring it out, right? Delete. Okay, John Maxwell says do, delete, or delegate. All right, so figure out where you're at in those do, deleting, or delegating items. And so anything that like drains your energy, figuring out what those are and like take them off your plate if at all possible, right? Or delegate them. But deleting, totally fine. Automation frees you up to focus somewhere else. So again, maybe that's Project Broadcast. I actually recommend, if you have a very wide customer base, by like senior gold-ish is usually when I mention Project Broadcast. Now that doesn't absolve us of customer care, but it also covers the bases. Like if you're starting to get level twos and threes, and you're not really sure if people are really taking care of people. So that's like a really great automation way. Even if you just use it for like quick blasts, like, hey, flash sale, making sure you saw it, right? This or that. So making sure that, yes, everybody gets the scoop and you're not just relying like on a team page post to cover the bases. Okay, and then the other thing I wrote down is procrastination versus do. I think we all have our areas of where we're procrastinating, whether it's in our business or in our home or whatever. So apply this however you need. Okay, time and commitment. So time is precious. I'll just say that time is precious. We all have 24 hours. And so actually Rachel Cruz talked about this on Thursday night, Dave Ramsey's daughter. So she was talking kind of the baby steps of finances, right? With the whole financial piece thing. And then she was talking about a time budget. And, you know, I think just like we figure out where our money is going to go on the front end, we can figure out where our time is going to go. If we say we want XYZ, if we say we have these priorities, and then our time needs to reflect what those priorities say. And I think sometimes that's where the rub or the frustration is, because sometimes life happens and like different things bleed into other things. And then, you know, certain priorities feel like they get shelved, or you have to rob Peter to pay Paul to figure out how you're going to figure out the time thing. And I think that being proactive, I mean, it doesn't mean it's perfect, but being proactive on the front end can really help save frustration. So you're operating from a place of deciding ahead of time instead of just constant reacting to the day, right? So I know we all know these things, but good to be reminded. And I was just thinking about like living life with time being honored and priorities being honored. And so if you feel like this is an invitation to you also to figure out like what those things are for your life. And they can change, like seasons change. You know, you might be living in a season, you're like, you know what? The priorities changed and I didn't even realize it. Or, you know, time is going in a different direction than it was. And I need to make sure that I'm okay with that. You know, sometimes we commit to things and then we don't realize until the back end and we're like, I'm not getting things done, or I'm not getting everything I want to get done. And then we have to take an evaluation, do a time audit. I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I was in a coaching call one time. I was like, oh my word, like there's literally not enough time. And so I was encouraged to actually not make a routine or not like write down on paper my schedule, but actually to follow myself around for 3 days and write down what I was doing and where my time was going. And then just see, like just observe where the time is spent, and then where the buckets were that maybe, I was doing things that weren't part of my priority list, what I was saying was my priority list. Okay. So number 1, get clear with your time and where you want it to go. And I did think this was interesting. 2 hours reclaimed per week, which is really not that much. 2 hours, which a lot of our minutes or hours even can be frittered. And I feel like as moms, like when we're in our homes constantly there, and I'm not saying housework and those things aren't valuable and important, but like we can spend all of our time doing a million different tiny little tasks all throughout the day. And so I think unless we're proactive, our time just rolls away into a million different things. But 2 hours reclaimed per week, that's 104 hours in a year. And that's literally 1 extra work year every 20 years. So just fun perspective about time with that. Time value is saying no so that you can say yes to what matters most. And I think that's one of the hardest things, depending on your season, is saying no even to good things. Sometimes it's literally even stuff that you want to do. But to honor your time, sometimes you're like, you know what? Like, I can't volunteer for that, or I can't give my time to that for now, because if I say I want this, that doesn't fit in, I like this little quip. Happy, thankful, more please. Happy, thankful, more please. And I would say, I love that for 2026. Like we can be happy and thankful, but also want more and want to impact more and help more people. And what we simplify magnifies. I love that. Okay. Alrighty. Questions, comments, observations. I wanted to talk really quick about silver. So curious, who on your team wants to go silver? And I was talking about this with someone earlier today about duplication. Well, she said, duplication is really hard for me. And I said, well, once you crack the code and figure this out, you're going to be emerald. Okay. And I think here's the thing. Duplication isn't a mystery. It's conversations in that direction. And it's kind of a 2-pronged approach. Number 1, you can recruit great people on your team. And I highly recommend do that, keep working on that, keep trying to find those people, because when you find them good, there's no developing. They're just good, like all of you. Okay. Number 2 is the developing piece is a piece, especially if you're mainly posting about products, you're going to be bringing in product users. I know this is nothing new, but if you're mainly posting about products, you're going to bring in a lot of customers, a lot of people in the customer bucket that you can convert over, right? And a lot of us started for products. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think it takes more proactivity on our side to ask, and ask in different ways. And say, so the overarching question in my brain is like, who wants to go silver? That's the question that we're trying to answer in our business this month. But the question is, who is willing to make a post? Who's willing to grab a buddy? Right? There's different ways to ask. Who in your life struggles with, and then you list off a bunch of different symptoms. Curious if anyone comes to mind, right? So there's different ways to like pop back and ask them. And that's the thing, is we have to keep popping back to ask them, or popping back to be like, hey, would you be willing to make a little post and tag me today? And before you actually send that, send what they can post. So send the little post or the verbiage for the post, and then send the verbiage like, hey, with a little arrow, would you be willing to post this and tag me? Like, let's just see what happens, right? So pop in with a little call to action with people. And sometimes you just have to make yourself do it. Maybe it's like you do a little campaign, first thing tomorrow morning or tonight after the kids go to bed or whatever. And you're just going to be like, you know what? I'm going to not care what any of them say or think. I'm just going to send it to everybody, like all of my new people from the last 6 months or the last year, right? Send it to everybody. Then maybe you'll do another little campaign, and you're going to find out, what was the other thing I was thinking about? So finding out who wants to go, I just lost my train. Silver Stars. Like, remember when Rita did Silver Stars? She earned that. She messaged all of her people, and she actually used the silver verbiage. She's like, hey, I'm helping everybody go silver this month. This is what we're doing. Here's the scoop. She didn't ask and she didn't ask, she told them, and she was bold. Out of 75 people that she messaged, 11 did it. Now, this is not a guarantee that if you message 75 of your VIPs, 11 of them are gonna do it. But I do think that was interesting. And she said, I think it was my posture. She's like, I think instead of asking them apologetically, I told them and they did it. So, and it might have been that group of people at that time too, you know? Okay. What time is it? All right. We have a few more minutes. Okay. Thoughts, opinions. What do you guys have? That's basically that's the end of what I was going to share. Yeah, that's everything. On my cool purple sticky note, and I can hardly read my notes. Okay, this is your time. I'm here for the next couple of minutes.
The last thing that you said really motivated me of just going, send it to everybody. Like, just don't put any thought into it. My thoughts always trip me up. I like to overthink. So just go do it. I'm like, okay. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it, but I'm going to overthink it if you don't. So
yeah, I think giving yourself little campaigns like, okay, I'm trying to figure out who, and you know, it's maybe even that you did message people last week, you know, but going back through, maybe it's asking in a different way, or maybe it's swinging back. Sometimes if I've asked a few things and they haven't replied, sometimes I'll just pop back with a little voice message, or maybe it is written out so they can see it, but like, hey, tell me your product experience, the good, the bad, the ugly. I would love to hear how things are going. And so you just, revert it back to talking about products.
Yeah, so good. And the thing that you were saying that Kinley said, that's exactly what I did this week. Like, I was feeling sluggish. Like, we had family stuff too, and it was just like, nothing's moving. So it's like, I'm just going to message business people. Like, that's what I did. And I got responses, which is great. So I'm replying back to them today, but I was like, I just got to force myself to do this. So nothing changes if nothing changes, right?
Yes. And we're in the initiation business. Like, our business rolls off of conversations, but it takes us really usually starting them, you know. Could your assistant make a post with all the things in them so we can start from scratch? Oh, what's that in reference to? The things pinned in the notes in my phone? Is that what you're talking about? I'm assuming that's what she's mentioning. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely just make a post and pin the post. Let me think how that might work. Like, if you're wanting this stuff, I think you guys already all have it. But having it in one spot, like I have like the Lori Harrison video, the Jessica Heffley Veer video, like I have those on the team page and I can go do a quick search and find them. But I was like, you know what? Wait, why am I doing this to myself? I made a little video resources. I title it video resources. And then I have her 2 videos posted there because those 2 are so fantastic. Literally, those 2 videos are why I started sharing Plexus. Lori's perspective, and then the Jessica Fear video. And I was also thinking, I want to make sure I include this in my system. Here we go back to systems again. I'm going to include this in my system when I have someone new that's decides that they want to share. I want them to watch those 2 things right off the bat. And I so wish I would have done this with a girl I'm working with right now, because now she's getting cold feet. And I just feel like if they can get a third-party tool that's not me telling them and I can still send it to her, but you know what I mean? Sometimes if we're a little more proactive on the front end, but making it part of my system, and then having some follow-up around that. Oh, so I actually sent this to a couple of new girls, and I included the verbiage that I put with it. That way I literally just have to copy and paste it and then send it. That way I'm not having to type anything out again. So it's only taken me 10 years to learn this. Oh my word, you guys. First messages, the first post, event invite wording, which, did you guys all see that Tina posted the mini messenger event template. It's updated. So there was a December one, and then now there's a January one. It's on the One Team page, and like everything is in there in the comments. Like it's in actually the link to the chat is in the comments, and there's a chat you can join. And the template is just like all right there. You don't have to join that board. She did link the boards too, but the template is all right there.
I had Lisa host her own messenger event this last night, and it was
good.
freeing to be like, nope, I'll be there. I'll support you. I started the chat and I did the poll, and I was like, just copy. It's all right there. Like,
yep. Copy paste.
It's there anyway because you can just move it. But I was like, I mean, she's my level 3, and I was just like, felt that relief of like, I don't like hand it over. Like, you know, I'm still there holding her hand, but it's just, you know.
And now she's done this long enough.
Yeah.
You know, she's done it long enough. She can totally, she's invested, and she can totally, yeah.
And then my girl that I invited to like add to the event kept hitting the join video call like 4 times. And I was like, even though I was like, oh, it's not a video call, even though there was an announcement, I even private message, and I was like, stop it. My girl messed it up.
I still remember when Brooke and I, remember that, Brooke? Oh my word. Her people kept joining the video, and we're like, it's not a video. Like, stop joining the video. People were all confused, and we're like on together, the blind leading the blind. Oh my word. Yeah, Wendy. So there's featured posts on One Team and Momentum Makers. I hate how Facebook, 2 things they've done recently. They deleted any video that is like over a month old. They delete live videos. So that's frustrating. And then also their featured posts aren't like a visual anymore, like running as a little thing at the top with the pictures. You actually have to click on the featured button to see them. So yeah, there's systems. There's a bunch of great stuff posted on both of those team pages. And that does include the customer care stuff. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, girls? Don't forget, tonight, Becky is going to be training at 7:30. It's going to be great. I'm so excited to see just up-and-coming leaders taking the lead on certain things. And then Brandy and Lisa are going to take the opportunity call next Tuesday at, I think it's 8:15 Central. We bumped it a little later for everybody. But anyways, really excited about that too. So excited about these new systems that we have in place. Anything else?
Hey, are those calls on the team calendar, or are they announced somewhere else?
The opportunity ones? Well, it's on the team calendar, like just a little blurb, but the graphic, we don't have the graphic yet. But Brandy's working on that, right, Brandy? Yeah.
And that will go up in Momentum Makers, or?
We'll try to share it everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chats and on One Team and One Team MM.
Mm-hmm.
But I need a minute because we're still trying to figure out if we want guests and pictures and all that stuff. So when I say we, I mean me, because I don't know what I want to do yet. It'll be good, though. It's going to be good.
Yes. So fun. Okay. All right, girls, I got to run. Thanks for hopping on. We'll see you at 7:30. Bye.